Hey, in today's video, we're talking about realtor fees and commissions and whether or not they're included in your closing costs. So, closing fees or costs are an inevitable part of all real estate transactions, whether you're buying or selling a home. And understanding the cost is essential and it's possibly detrimental if you don't know what they are. So, one common question is whether realtor fees are included in closing costs. These fees are also called commissions, along with other expenses, and they play a crucial role in the real estate transactions. In today's video, we're going to explore the topic in detail to help you navigate the process confidently. So the big question is, what are realtor fees? So realtor fees are commissions paid out to real estate agents for their services in helping you buy or sell a property. And really recently, there's been a major shakeup after a monumental legal settlement in the real estate industry regarding commissions. So I wanted to go into details of the responsibility of who pays who when it comes to closing costs. So realtor fees, they typically cover marketing your home, the largest and most crucial expense, which includes staging and photography, online listings, sometimes painting and maintenance, and negotiating offers, right? So you pay your realtor to negotiate on your behalf. It'll be typically bringing more for your home because they're used to negotiating day in and day out, and also guiding you through the legal administrative process of buying or selling the property. So in Canada specifically, realtor commissions average around 5% plus applicable taxes, depending on which province you're in, of the actual sales price, which is usually split between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. However, these fees can vary based on location, brokerage policies, and negotiations. So, for example, if you sell your home for $765,000, the sellers would have to pay $38,250 plus HST if you're in Canada, and of which half of that goes to the cooperating or what we call the buyer's brokerage. The selling realtor you hire in this example would be paid $19,125 plus taxes. Then they have to pay their brokerage fees or splits, income taxes, their expenses to market the home, and whatever's left over, that is their paycheck. So it's actually not as much as you think they're getting. So all are realtor fees included in your closing costs? This is the big question. So in most cases, realtor fees are not included in closing costs, and here's why. So who pays the realtor fees? So in Canada, the seller generally pays the realtor fees from the proceeds of the home sale. These fees are settled at closing, but are separate from other closing costs. Buyers typically don't pay realtor fees directly to the sales representative on the property's purchase price, but they do pay all the other closing costs associated with the transfer of the property. Now, the big difference there is buyers now in the United States of America, and sorry, sellers specifically, after this huge settlement, no longer have to pay the buying agent. So the buyers down in America will have to pay their buying agent directly, and it's not working out well. Let's just put it this way. So it is best to keep it the way it is, but for the most part, in Canada, it's slightly different. But I think there may be some changes coming in the near future. Now, what's the difference between closing costs and realtor fees? So, closing costs cover legal, administration, and government related expenses such as land transfer taxes. Realtor fees are considered part of the seller's transaction expenses rather than traditional closing costs. So, the big question is, what are closing costs? So, closing costs are additional fees and expenses paid at the end of a real estate transaction. And these include land transfer taxes, which is the big one, legal and agent fees, property tax adjustments, home inspections and appraisals, and miscellaneous costs, expenses such as insurance, mortgage application fees, administration charges, things you just don't consider. So closing costs typically range between 1% and 4% of the home sales price. Typically, the only fee paid by the sellers outside of the realtor fees are legal expenses. The buyer, on the other hand, has much more to pay at closing. For example, if you are buying a home for $765,000, you can expect to pay over and above the $765,000 price tag to buy the home, approximately $7,600 to $30,000, depending on what city and municipality you live in this country. Now, the other thing is, one thing you have to consider is additional costs to consider, which is staging and photography. So many realtors, recommend staging and professional photography to make a home more appealing. These services are additional expenses starting at $2,000 per month and go as high as $50,000 per month, depending on the size of the property. For most average size homes, and typical stager will cost approximately $9,500 for staging and between $150 to $1,500 for photography, again, depending on the size and the quality of the home. And if you're getting into video, which is what everybody wants nowadays, you're really starting at the low end at $500 a video, and they can go as high as $3,500, depending again on the production cost. Don't forget about print marketing. There's so many different things you have to pay for over and above commissions, assuming that is who you're hiring. Now, we believe here at Young Realty, and myself included, that all of those fees should be included within the commission. And it's up to realtors' responsibility to budget the marketing properly, and so that everybody is happy with it and the sellers don't have to pay anything over and above the commission costs. Okay. Now, when you're buying new construction homes, if you're purchasing a new construction or a pre-built home or condo, you may also encounter unique closing costs such as HST on top of your purchase price, as opposed to included in it in resale property, development levies, city level levies, and occupancy fees on top of your usually maintenance and taxes. Now, new construction is super important to make sure you budget accordingly. There's many times, unfortunately, where people have approached and said, look, we can't even close with this builder. We bought this thing 4 years ago. And all these hidden fees, it racked up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in fees that they were unexpected. And now they are built into the contract. They just didn't know they were there. So if you really want to be fully educated, again, reach out to us. We'll be happy to show you what to do. Now, these are frequently asked questions to me about realtor fees and closing costs. So what do closing costs actually include? So closing costs generally include land transfer tax, legal fees, property tax adjustments, and administrative expenses like title insurance. These costs are paid at the end of the transaction and are separate from realtor fees. Big question here is, are realtor fees negotiable? Absolutely, 100% yes. Realtor fees can be negotiable. A real estate professional will work with your clients within their sales budget and make sure they do net income assessment of what the client will net from the sales proceeds. That is something that all of our realtors here at Young Realty do with our clients. Some agents offer competitive rates, while others are open to discussions about lowering their commissions. In fact, there are dedicated brokerage houses that offer flat fee commissions, but keep in mind, you get what you pay for in real estate. So watch out. So who pays realtor fees in Ontario? In Ontario, specifically, the seller typically pays the realtor fees for both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, which are deducted from the sales proceeds at the closing from either the sales lawyer or the listing brokers, depending on who's holding the deposit monies. Now, can buyers avoid paying closing costs? Well, while buyers cannot avoid closing costs entirely, they may negotiate from the seller to cover a portion of these costs as part of the purchase agreement. In some cases, sellers provide financing called vendor take-back financing and other closing costs to purchasers to incentivize the sale, especially in these slower markets like you're seeing today. Which is why it becomes even more important to have a realtor working for you, not against you. Now, when we get into the bottom line, all things being said, realtor fees and closing costs are an essential part of all real estate transactions, but they serve different purposes. Realtor fees compensate agents for their expertise, while closing costs cover the administration and legal expenses of transferring property ownership. By understanding all of these costs and work with knowledgeable professionals like myself and all of our realtors at Young Realty, you can navigate the home buying or selling process with confidence. If you're ready to get started, just contact us. There's links below. Talk to you soon.